All right, let's just dive right into it. We've all been there, putting off that big, important task for later. But what if I told you it has almost nothing to do with being lazy or bad at time management? We're going to break down the real, kind of dark psychology of why we procrastinate, and more importantly, the surprisingly simple ways you can start to fight back.
I mean, it's such a frustrating question, isn't it? You've got a deadline, you know exactly what you need to do, and yet you find yourself alphabetizing your spice rack or just endlessly scrolling online. You're actively choosing to do something you know is going to cause you stress later on. And it feels totally irrational because, well, in a lot of ways it is. And this right here is the single most important idea to really get your head around. Seriously, if you take one thing away today, let it be this. Procrastination doesn't mean you're lazy or undisciplined. It's actually an emotional response. It's your brain's weird, backward way of coping with really challenging emotions that get triggered by a certain task.
So, if we're going to figure out how to escape this trap, we first have to understand what baits it in the first place. What are these negative feelings that we're so desperate to run away from?
What's so interesting here is just how emotional all of these triggers are. See? It's not about the work itself. It's about our feelings about the work. Fear of failure, that little voice saying, what if I'm not good enough? Perfectionism, which is just fear in a fancy outfit, right? If I can't do it perfectly, I'm not even going to start. Even something as simple as boredom is a genuinely uncomfortable feeling we want to escape. So we procrastinate to get that little temporary mood boost just by avoiding all this yucky stuff.
And this whole emotional battle, it isn't just a metaphor. It actually has a physical basis inside your head. There's a literal tug of war happening inside your brain between two very, very different parts.
This really just illustrates the whole conflict perfectly. So on one side, you've got your limbic system. That's your primitive, emotional brain. Think of it as the instant gratification monkey that only cares about feeling good right this second. The moment it senses a bad feeling like fear or boredom, it just starts screaming, "Abort mission! Let's go watch some funny videos." But then on the other side, you have your prefrontal cortex. That's the adult in the room, the rational decision maker. It gets it. It understands future consequences. The problem is, when you're stressed out, that limbic system monkey often shuts a whole lot louder.
And this brings us to the real key. Beating procrastination was never about getting a better planner or a new app. It's about better emotional management. It's about strengthening that prefrontal cortex, that rational part of you, so you can actually notice the discomfort and say, yeah, okay, this feels kind of awful right now, but I'm going to do it anyway, because my future self is going to be so glad I did. It's a skill, and just like any other skill, you can learn it.
Just let that sink in for a second. Every single time you procrastinate, you're not actually running from the work. You're running from the feeling of being inadequate or bored or anxious that the work is kicking up inside you. And that temporary relief you get from avoiding it, that's the reward. That's what makes the habit stick.
Okay, so we get the problem now. It's emotional, it's neurological, it's a deeply ingrained habit. So, how in the world do we break it? Well, the good news is you don't need some massive, heroic surge of willpower. You just need a smarter strategy.
This is one of the most powerful tools out there, I swear, because it goes right after the biggest hurdle, just getting started. So don't think about writing the whole report. No, think about opening a new document and just writing one single sentence. Anyone can do something for 2 minutes. But the magic here is that once you start, a funny thing called inertia often takes over, and you find yourself working for a lot longer than you planned. Let's add a few more things to your toolkit. First, try task pairing. Listen to your absolute favorite podcast, but only while you do the dishes. Next, and this is a big one, learn to forgive yourself. Beating yourself up just adds another layer of negative emotion, which actually makes you more likely to procrastinate again. And finally, if-then planning. This is huge. It gives your rational brain a pre-made plan. Like, okay, if I feel that wave of anxiety about starting my workout, then I will just put on my shoes and do 5 push-ups.
This is so important to remember. Everybody procrastinates sometimes. The goal here isn't to become some kind of perfect productivity robot. The real aim is to recognize when you're falling into that emotional avoidance trap and then have the tools ready to pull yourself out. It's all about progress, not perfection.
So we've covered a lot. The why, the how your brain works, and what you can actually do about it. But look, knowledge by itself is pretty useless without action. All of this comes down to making that one tiny first move. So I'm going to leave you with this question. Not later, not after you finish watching this. Right now, what is the 2-minute version of that thing you've been dreading? Is it sending that one email? Is it just putting on your running shoes? Opening the textbook to the right page? Pick that one thing and go do it.
That's it. That's how you